Hey everybody, welcome to What the Frick Live. It is a Wednesday night, our first Wednesday night show. So hopefully everybody got the messages and stuff I sent out over the week, and Marianne shared the show out. This is our first Wednesday night. We're going to have several Wednesday nights coming up. These nights are going to be for part twos or people that need to reschedule, because What the Frick Live is booked until December. And actually, I only have one date left in December. How are you doing, Marianne? I can't hear you. You're doing fine. You're unmuted. Let's see. Let me do this. Can you hear us? You might have to log out and log back in. Can't hear you. Hold on, let me message Marianne real quick and we'll get on with this. So if you're watching this, log out and log back in. Okay, so if you're watching this for the first time, please share this out. It helps the show, it helps our guests, it helps the network. Also, I'm going to put this up down the bottom. I'm going to let this scroll through. We are switching back to StreamYard, which is not my favorite platform. I like VLive TV, but StreamYard allows me to stream live for the first time tonight on Odyssey and also live on Rumble this evening. So if you ask or have any comments or anything during the show and it comes up as Facebook user, I hear you, Marianne. You hear us?
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Our luck tonight.
All right. So please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Give them permission for you to use your name in your profile picture, so we know who you are when you're asking questions or making comments, and we'll put it up on the screen, because tonight it's going to be jam-packed.
Yes.
Part 2 with Penny L.A. Shepard. I'm so excited she's going to come on. But before we bring her on here in a second, Marianne, how's your week been? Good?
Chaotic, but it's getting better. How about yours?
It's hump day. It feels weird doing this on a Wednesday night.
It does. But you know, that means tomorrow is Friday Junior.
I know. We'll be here Friday night too, 9
Yep.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Josh and Della, and we'll do a little bit of we'll talk a little bit about that. Sean Gilmore says this intro is badass. Thank you, Sean. We appreciate that. So tonight we have a special guest on for part 2, and actually I also have a feeling it's going to be a part 3. We have Penny L.A. Shepard. I do believe that she is the 11 off Stranger Things. We're going to be talking about MKULTRA. If you all don't know that, it's a CIA project operation that tons of other projects and operations came from that. It deals with mind control. And Penny is also part of a new podcast show, and we're going to be talking about that, the Dark Outpost. So I'm going to bring Penny on right now. Thank you, Penny.
We're all here. Can I hear you, Marianne? Stop to me.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, so pleasure to be back. And your intro is badass, okay?
Well,
I was just like going, wow, that is just lovely.
Well, it's ghost and stuff because I did a lot of paranormal things, but now I've switched over to the conspiracy side.
Conspiracy is paranormal. They're all one and the same.
It's unexplained, or we don't have the full answers to everything, but we have a lot of evidence that points to one direction. So
yes,
which is CIA.
CIA. I actually refer to California as CIA-ifornia.
Wow. Everything that I've studied, because I had my Great Awakening in 2020, everything I've studied all leads back to CIA, every bit of it. And it makes sense now why they did what they did with JFK, because JFK figured out it's called, Operation Northwoods, where the military, the CIA, and the U.S. government did crimes on their own people, us as U.S. citizens, and blamed it on Cuba. And I think, finally JFK found that out, and he said he was going to splinter the CIA in 100 different directions in the winds. So Yeah, and it's kind of scary talking about that.
Yeah,
But
we fired Alan Dulles, who Alan Dulles was the head of MK Ultra. He also worked with Sidney Gottlieb, and I have yet to get. I've got about 100 books in my Kindle, so I like flip through, get a little snapshot, and say I'll get back and read that, and I haven't been able to do that. But there is a book on how the Dulles brothers pretty much ran the United States.
see, I don't even know anything about that.
Yeah, they were
So
they were huge. So Alan Dulles was one of the proponents of the heads of the CIA, and then Sidney Gottlieb worked underneath him. Sidney Gottlieb did biowarfare, so he was going to actually create some kind of a neurological nerve agent to take out Castro. They referred to it as whacking the beard. And at one point, they had thought about putting some kind of a biotoxin to make his beard fall out to humiliate him. Really? Can they do any better than that? But the way that they would use an MK Ultra child as an asset would be the child will go up to Castro and say, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" And then just touch him with the pen. Castro dies 4 days later.
well, that makes a lot of sense too, because I'm thinking about Bible terms and then military terms, because of Samson and his hair, was cut off.
Samson and Delilah.
Right. And that's the spirit of Delilah. And then also I had military friends over in Afghanistan or Desert Storm that said that do not trust the children whatsoever. Do not allow any child to come up to you because they can manipulate.
Right.
And
because the children are trained to come up and kill you. They come up with bombs or to ask for candy or whatever. And the parents, it's, it's just protocol there. They'll blow up their own children to serve their mission. They have the suicide terrorists, suicide bombers, and they employ children. And they did that in Vietnam. And that's an awful thing.
It's terrible. And the children don't really know any better because the parents are directing them and brainwashing them. It's mind control from a very young age. But before we're going to talk about Anne Heche. Did I say her name right? Heche?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to talk about her tonight. But before we talk about her, I did a quick intro with you, Penny. Can you tell everybody a little bit more details about your history and being involved with MK Ultra?
Yes, actually, I was born into MK Ultra. And it's something that I was experimenting on in utero. I believe the more that I research, and it's not, I'm not like changing my story, but as I research more, I find out more details about myself, and then these details make more sense. So I'm trying to determine if I was in fact created from the ovum of Irene Schoenbein Mengele, who married Joseph Mengele and had a son named Rolf, because my murder brother David, who wrote a book entitled The Whistleblower about Bush, the Vatican, and my evil family, he looked like Rolf, their son, and I look like Irene. So I started asking these questions when I found out that my former agent, who slept with me in the 90s, I found out in 2017 he was my brother from my first husband. That sounds like As the World Turns, like in General Hospital, all in one, right?
But your husbands have their names linked to Stranger Things too.
Yes. So my first husband, Steve Zenos, he was actually given to me by my first handler, who I believe is the son of Albert Speers, Hitler's Minister of War. His name is Durrell. And then I was in this band so everyone could watch me. And as a matter of fact, one of my drummer, Bob, I won't say his last name, but Bob told me at the place that they had filmed the Stepford Wives, not the movie, like the series, I think, in California, at a venue that we were at in California. He told me at that venue that I was a Stepford wife. I thought that was kind of mean. Really? You're going to tell me at the venue that they filmed the Stepford Wives that I'm a Stepford wife? Because I was a Stepford wife.
Well, I would think. I don't know if that's mean.
I thought it was mean.
Well,
it's funny because
go ahead.
I was actually called that too once. Right? Somebody called me that too.
Were you a
many years ago?
Were you a Stepford
wife? In my first
like,
marriage.
Yes, honey, and all about conservatism and
yeah,
that was me.
Yep.
Right. I used to sit like on my days off. I'd sit and I was a good cook, but I used to sit and go through the recipe book just to see what I could make my my man.
I'm not one of them.
I did. but I'm also very independent. Okay. So I always worked. I worked 2 jobs and went to school. I did that my whole life. I went to 2 jobs, went to school, and then the children that I raised were not my own. I didn't have children that I knew about until later on when I found out they took my ovum and my fetuses and made babies and clone for my DNA. Do you want to play that?
No, I'm not gonna play that. This is my first time coming back to StreamYard for a very long time. It made me do slideshows, and I wanted to put this up, the Dark Outpost, because
right. So I have a new gig. I've been with Dave Zublek since October of last year, and I started as I have a blog, so I actually go by Agent X11, which my name was Penny Zenos, but I didn't change my name. That was my first husband. So I found out in 2017 they used me for covert operations. I also found out that 11 in Stranger Things is actually me. So that freaked me out. I cried a whole lot for almost a year, actually. It wasn't a fun realization. Okay. It was just like, holy crapola. And I was told by a person that took my brother David's unpublished manuscript, the last copy of it that I'd had in a safe for many years, and I brought with me when I left San Diego and went to Illinois. I was told by him that when I was writing, because I'm a writer, I've been writing since I was in like 7th grade, and I was writing. I work for the DOG, which was to be a sitcom for Todd Oliver, who has he's a dog ventriloquist. So he has a dog named Irving. And so I was writing a sitcom for him and making it so that the dog actually talked for real and he didn't actually need Todd. So it's called I Work for the DOG. And so I asked my friend, hey, I want to write about your cat, Lola. And he freaked out. And he's like, you can't write about my cat. And I was like, okay, fine. I mean, I'll give it another name. Wow, what is your deal? And he said, they've made movies and television series about me my entire life, and I've never gotten any credit for it. And I'm tired of it. So don't write about my cat. Then later on, and he said, and I'm followed wherever I go. So I was like, okay, whatever. And I took it for what it was. Then later on, I realized what he was saying to me was that they made movies and television series about all of us, because then I found out that 11 in Stranger Things was me. And I'm a writer, so I know how to do character development. So I analyzed all the characters. So the character Millie Bobby Brown plays the character 11. I was born August 11th. My name is Penny. Penny is short for Penelope, but that's not what's on my birth certificate. The AKA for Penelope is L, which they call her L, and they call her 11. So when they had me in these projects, the people have actually gotten the tattoo, the 11 tattoo, because they think it's cool. It's not cool. What you're talking about is in the concentration camps, they put numbers on your arm. So then later on, I looked in my skin to see because somebody asked me, I told him you have a great tattoo. And this is when I was in California and I was being followed again. And he's like, do you have any tattoos? And I said, no, I don't have any tattoos. And he said, I said, I would know if I had tattoos. Well, I didn't know that when I took a picture of my skin and I went up and down my arm and I enlarged, I found it looks like an 11 and a slash on it. It looks like 007 or something like that, 007 or something like that, and numbers after it. So I don't know how many 11s that they actually made, because they've continued to make 11s. Okay. But that one's me. So she's played by Millie Bobby Brown. I found out that my drummer Bob is related to me in some capacity. So I have a brother somewhat named Bobby. And so Millie Bobby Brown in German is Braun. Eva Braun was Hitler's wife. And my mother, I found out, was a Hitler baby. And there's books on the children that were had for the Third Reich in propagation for the Fourth Reich. Okay. So my mom's name was Millie also. And I was born at Ives Estates. I was born actually in Hollywood, Florida, which Hollywood, Florida was created by the CIA. Essentially, they were builders. So the builders were very prolific, very wealthy. So I was born in Hollywood, Florida. And then I was raised in Ives Estates. And the character's name is Jane Ives, as in Jane Doe from Ives. Now, I don't actually believe that the Duffer Brothers even know that I exist, because when I started writing Bradford and Valentine, which was a television series also, again, because I'm a writer, and I started writing it. I stopped writing it because I realized that the characters that I was writing were real people and that I was writing in code. So is this something that we who are MK Ultra are brought up in these projects? Because I found out I'm also a cipherist. It's another
When you
talent I
say
have.
code, I'm sorry, I'm thinking
Go ahead.
about Anne Heche real quick. When you say code, because when and I'll have a clip or something. We'll talk about it here in a second, a little bit more details. But
Anne definitely was MK Ultra. There's no doubt in my
yeah.
mind. She was SRA'd. She from an early age. She was
Well,
raped
there's
by
a
her
special
father.
language she talks about. Like she remembers a special language that it was like it was no other language anybody could understand, but she knew, and the people that directed her knew what it was.
Well, yeah, actually, it was. She just interpreted it. I think she was just, making light of some of the things. But yes, she would go off and speak this other language, but it actually had, I don't know if it was Italian or Spanish or whatever, but it actually had a definition, or it had some definitions. But she said something when she was talking on, I forget the person that she was doing the interview with, Barbara Walters.
Barbara Walters,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so she had said that it meant, that she needed a new PR agent or something like that. But it actually did have a definition. But if you want to say, did she talk into another language, perhaps she did, because she said that she was from another galaxy. She used her second name, which I believe that was an alter also. They called her by that name. So it was probably an agent name that they called her by, which was an alter, which was established when she was repeatedly raped and brutalized by her father, which her mother said that didn't happen. And her sister said it didn't happen. When the man died of AIDS, okay, and then she got a venereal disease, herpes, and her mother said it was diaper rash. I mean, that has to be the worst mother in the universe.
I read some because she wrote a book, and there's an audio copy of it. I listened to almost an hour of it today, and I did cry. What people don't understand, that Anne also came from a biblical Christian background, praise and worship, and so. And if anybody knows anything about the Southern Baptist Convention, they just released like 205 pages on their website of sexual conduct with minors and things like that. And I'm not saying 205 people. I'm saying 205 pages that probably have 3 or 4 people on each page. And comes
those are the ones that were caught.
Right. So
I'll tell you this, mine wasn't caught. So, and he was in the Southern Baptist Church too, but that's another story. I know all about this stuff. So,
your dad?
No.
You're cutting in and out, Marianne.
It might actually be your Wi-Fi connection, because you're frozen now. You were talking when you had the cup up to your mouth. It was like, is she talking?
Am I frozen now?
No,
I can see you now.
So go ahead and say,
okay.
Do it. Cutting in and out. I was like, is it your dad? I couldn't understand.
No. I'm not going to say it on here, but I have someone in the Southern Baptist Church that did things that were inappropriate that probably should have been on those pages. But I'm not going to name names right now.
I'll name names.
Tell Penny.
Not all the names, but I will name some names.
Well, Anne comes from this. I don't like to use the term religion because I have a relationship with Jesus, but she comes from this religious, strict background. Her dad should be super trusted because he's in the church and he's actually a minister and he's a praise and worship leader. So she has all this, and then, later on in life, she's a little bit confused in what direction she wants to go. She meets Ellen DeGeneres, and I don't know. I was listening to her audiobook biography. It's Call Me Crazy. If you all want to, I'm going to share the screen here. I'm not going to play any of it, but it is on YouTube, and you can go on and listen to it. I listened to almost 45 minutes to an hour while I worked today. And the parts that I listen to, because she gets really involved quickly with her father and the church in the beginning. And call me crazy, I believe her story, because most of the people that, Penny too, like you're a whistleblower in many ways, and you're very brave. I'll tell you that for coming forward.
Yes.
I just say that, I believe that we have an obligation. I don't name all the names, but I believe that we have an obligation when we find out the truth. If we have the wherewithal and the tools to do so, we should write about it because it will help other people. And then if you can speak about it, please speak about it. And then try to help people. So when I found out who I was declared an enemy of the state, and I was locked up in a crazy house for a year, and there was nothing wrong with me. My brother David, they said that he was schizophrenic, and he was not, because he started writing an unpublished book entitled The Whistleblower. But before that, he was working for Hyperion Water District, and he was a shop steward, and he got boxes and boxes of papers that showed him that there was malfeasance there, and what their plans were, and that they were private. They were going to privatize all the water, and they were poisoning the water with different things. And somewhere in there, he knew that the plan in the future was to blow up all the bridges and breach the dams.
Did you see where London Bridge was on fire today?
No, I did not. Which London Bridge?
The London Bridge, like over in London, the big, massive. It's not the Queen Elizabeth's code name. London Bridge is going down because that's the code name of when
the London Bridge was on fire.
Yeah, today. They said it came from a car or something, but it was on fire. I shared or I saw some videos on TikTok, and then I went and looked it up, and yeah, it was on fire today.
Okay, the actual London Bridge, when it was falling down, you know the song London Bridge was falling down. Well, when it was actually falling down, McCulloch, who was a chainsaw guy, went and got the pieces of the London Bridge and brought it to Lake Havasu. So the London Bridge, the old London Bridge, which was falling down, was purchased by McCulloch, he was the precursor builder for Lake Havasu in Arizona. And he brought the London Bridge that was falling down to Arizona. I gigged out there when I first started gigging.
Why did he do that?
As a tourist attraction. It's a good tourist attraction. And then now there's bricks where they give homage to our military. There's a ferry that goes from Lake Havasu, because Arizona is right next door to California. So the ferry goes to a casino on the California side, just like Cal Nev, which was Frank Sinatra. So that was the Cal Nev resort where Marilyn Monroe was, Frank Sinatra. There's tunnels underneath the Cal Nev, which was Nevada and California. That's why they called it the Cal Nev.
I don't know what happened to Marianne, but does that have any connection with the Hoover Dam?
I know that the Hoover Dam supplies the water that goes to the LA basin, which that's what my brother worked for. He worked for Hyperion, which supplied all the water for the LA basin. He was a shop steward. When he started finding out the information that he found out, they sent him to an MKUltra doctor who then said he was schizophrenic. My brother was not schizophrenic. But they needed to discredit him, and he started carrying a gun, and they said he moved in the middle of the night. He moved to Oregon in the middle of the night. I'm calling his house, and he's not there anymore. He sold his place, and he moved. This
is your biological brother?
Yes, my brother that I grew up with. I grew up with two brothers and a sister, but I don't call that sister a sister anymore. I call my best friend, who actually, we share the same cosmology, and I rented space from her, and she's my family now, with her son, who I call my nephew, and with one of our friends who's been with us through thick and thin. That's my family now, not my actual family. And many people have been divorced literally from their families because of these things. Even Dr. Brian Artis was talking about how he was raised in the Mormon church, and then when he refuted the Mormon church, he lost his family. It's like Scientology. I mean, we're all going through this, so you need to know you're not alone. Okay, there's millions of people out there that are finding out the truth, and when they find out the truth, then the families disown them, and part of that is that they're actually enmeshed in some capacity in this cabal.
They don't
That's
even
my
know it.
ardent belief. Some of them do know it, as a matter of fact.
I mean, it takes
But they
them a
will
long
never
time to
disclose
get there.
it.
Yeah, that's what I mean, Penny.
They won't disclose it because it's like an omerta. So it's a blood oath. And the oath, it's like when you go into the military and they say they give you top secret clearance. If you reveal any of that information that is top secret clearance, they can re-up you again and then throw you in jail for treason. But what they'd prefer to do is like Anne Heche and was it a senator, the other woman that you were talking about?
The GOP, hold on, I have it right here. Jackie, I'm going to share this. Jackie, because she was doing stuff with
sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking. She was a GOP. She was in a car crash just a couple days before Anne Heche. She was driving a blue car too. And then I saw some videos about this, that she also believed she was being chased and being searched. And then she collaborated with Anne Heche on the girl in Room 13, which is based off a true story. And I have the trailer I can play here in a little bit for that. But she was in Republican Indiana. And she was killed, died in a car crash on Wednesday. And this was...
So Anne does her podcast on Tuesday where she says, I'm not canceled anymore. And then on Wednesday, this woman dies in a car accident. And on Friday, Anne dies in a car accident. And we know that is, I was told that I was going to die in a car accident if I went to Austin. God told me that. So I avoided Austin at all costs. But this is the CIA's one of the CIA's most famous, one of the CIA's preferred assassination is by an ambiguous car accident that can't be blamed on anyone.
Car accidents, and I think also pretend overdoses, because Anne Heche was given fentanyl. Fentanyl showed up in her blood after she was in the hospital. They took her, from what I read or what I viewed, they took, blood alcohol levels and stuff while she was getting admitted. And then afterward, fentanyl is what showed up after she was in the hospital.
Yeah. I don't know the order in which they took those blood tests. They could have taken blood tests at the scene. I don't know when or if they did administer fentanyl. And like you and I think we had this talk, or we texted this. My husband, Steve Zenos, whose name means stranger, so it's literally Mrs. Stranger. His father, I believe, and I'm just putting it out there, I believe his father murdered his mother. And I was going to write a book when I divorced Steve called The Ex Mrs. X. Right? That would be me.
Oh, yeah.
And
Agent X.
But
right?
she was also an X. So both of the parents, all three of them were doctors. Okay. Steve he didn't have his PhD. He had his MA. But his parents had their PhD, so they had their doctorates, so they were referred to as doctors of psychology. All right. So they ran a marriage family crisis counseling. The mother, Sheila, was going to leave the father because she found out he was having an affair with their realtor for 5 years. Now, I am 11 in Stranger Things, so when I walked in the house, I said to my brother David, I think that Steve Sr. killed Sheila. I think he put something in her tea and he killed her. And then I started asking, just like Kathy O'Brien, is there an odorless, colorless, tasteless thing that you can put in somebody's drink to kill them? I even asked a doctor that.
I know that.
Right. So there's a leaf, I think it's called digitalis. And there's another pharmacological pill that's made or compound that's made from that. And it was my belief that when you're having heart problems, the EMTs will give you that. The angel of death actually was a nurse who went around nursing homes killing people with that. So it could stop you from having a heart attack, but it can also give you a heart attack. So if they gave her this substance and it gave her a heart attack, and then the EMTs came in and then injected her with it, guess what? They're going to find it in her system and they're not going to look for it. They're going to dismiss it. So is it possible, because I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell what the levels of that would be. Is it possible that she actually ingested fentanyl and then also cocaine, because I just saw that there was a big fentanyl bust in Inglewood on the 5th of July. So they're tracking
Well, I
down the
mean,
fentanyl.
I worked in healthcare for 13 years, and I was in ER and urgent care, and then I was on the Code Blue team. I'm not a nurse, but fentanyl, just the smallest amount of fentanyl can wipe out anybody that's even healthy, that's never used drugs or used that drug before. And it can be laced on anything. Like these police officers or something that find people that are passed out in their cars and everything, I highly recommend that you don't even touch the body, because you don't know where that fentanyl is.
Right.
And just that touching of it,
Could
even
they
if
have
it's,
broken up a pill and she snorted it not knowing?
it doesn't even have to be snorted. It doesn't. It can be injected. It can be injected, just like my dog is diabetic. I use these diabetic. Anyone can have a little needle and just put just barely enough in there to overdose.
I was listening to Dr.
And the reason why I think the
Dr.
fentanyl,
Drew.
well, they were saying fentanyl in the hospital because if she was given fentanyl at the scene, which I don't have that video. Everyone can look that up. I'm not going to play that video of where she comes out. She was completely zipped. I think they believe she was dead or acting like she was absolutely dead. If she was given fentanyl at the scene of the accident, she would have been dead within 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah, that would have been incomprehensible to even do that, because they wouldn't know what drug she had on board. They could have OD'd her. By the way, she was not zipped in a body bag. Okay.
Well, no, it was like a cover blanket. The sheets.
Right. They had a bunch of blankets on her. You could see her feet sticking out of it. They had a bunch of blankets. Now, I'm not sure why they put the blanket over her head. There could be many reasons. They found out who she was. They wanted to protect her from the paparazzi. Maybe she had a problem with her eyes. I don't know what the extent of the burns were. When she sat up, it looked like the back of her head, but she's normally blonde. It looked like it might have been burned because it was brown. So we don't know what the extent was of her injuries at the time, but she died of it was called apoxic, not hypoxic. She died of apoxic death, which is she slipped into a coma and she died, and that is basically for the lack of oxygen. Now, if you have the fentanyl, Dr. Drew was saying that it actually can cease your breathing. So I couldn't reckon that anybody would want to give her that in the ambulance. And then there was a question as to, why she didn't have IVs in her, but it looked like she was extremely combative. And so they tied her down to the gurney because she was fighting them to even, that you could see she was fighting them. She broke out of the straps that they had her in. So she was combative. So I wouldn't think that if you were you wouldn't put an IV in her and try to drag her body across the street. It's just too much stuff. So you'd want to get her in a situation where you could put her and really restrain her. But then what do you even do?
How do you have her arms?
Her?
But if she was combative, like I've worked this too many times, if she was that combative, her arms and everything would have been strapped down, and those weren't strapped down.
No, maybe they didn't have the ability to do that, but they did put straps over her body.
They should have. If she was that combative, her chest, her hands, even her wrists would have even been to that bed.
Maybe they made a mistake. Maybe we don't know the quality of the people that were there. Were those firemen bringing her to the EMTs?
No, it was an ambulance, because some ambulances are red. We have them here in town. It was an ambulance, and everybody's pointing at the number on top of it. I think is what, 63?
63.
So there's some significance in that too. But I don't know if she was that combative, because I think if she was truly that combative, she would have been showing signs of that before they, like, it took a moment. It took like a good 2 minutes to get her out of that like little bush area and then was wheeling her through. So I think she had some kind of intoxication.
They said there's no alcohol. The place that she was at before,
like a concussion or the impact of where she would hit affected her some way. Because if someone's truly combative, working in ER in urgent care. I'm not a nurse, everybody, but I have been there. I've seen it all. 13 years, everything would have been tied down. Her wrist, her chest, all that. So she wouldn't hurt staff and she wouldn't hurt herself.
Well, then maybe they just underestimated the fact that she would be able to get, they strapped her down.
Oh, yeah, I saw some
maybe
of
they
it,
underestimated. Maybe they didn't think she was combative. Maybe they just strapped her down to make sure that she didn't fall out. But it appeared that she, was having some major issues because she broke herself out of it and sat up, and then they pushed her back down, and then maybe they restrained her when they put her in the, into the ambulance.
But she was conscious enough to do that there. So what happened in between that in the hospital or in the hospital?
I don't know.
Marianne, do you have?
It says she lapsed into a coma. So, maybe
did she or did they put her in a coma?
They said that it was not a medically induced coma. She lapsed into a coma. But that's the story that we're told. So nobody actually knows if somebody tried to kill her in the ambulance and give her fentanyl in the ambulance, if if her brake lines were cut. Why don't you play that one video of her with the guy in the alley, because she went to go buy a red wig.
I don't have a video. I have a slide. Here's one of the last pictures of her.
So she was purchasing a red wig, and then when she left there, she got in an accident, and there was a man who came. They were videoing this man who was saying, "Get out of the car! Get out of the car!"
I have that video, and it's going to mute us when I play it. Let me play it. It's a minute, 5 seconds. So, yeah, this is it. Hold on. Let's play it. It'll mute us while this video plays.
No, out of the car. No, out of the car. Out of the car. Yeah, out of the car.
I'm out of this.
Okay, I'm going to stop that because it's going in deeper, but that's all I could find on a video to play. But, people were claiming that she's saying or stating that somebody was after her.
Yeah, this guy definitely was saying, "Get out of the car, get out of the car." Now, is that because she smashed into, I don't know where she was. Was she at the back of where she had purchased the wig? Who was the guy that was saying, "Get out of the car"? Was that, so we don't know the context of when it was taken. We don't know if that was like the person that owned the storage unit or garage, which she smashed into. But she was clearly, she said, "No, sir." And then she took off, and, what happened between that time? Did she pass out at the wheel? Was her foot on the gas? We don't know. We weren't in the car. So at this point, all we can actually do is speculate in regards to her being brought to the ambulance. We can only speculate. We can try and determine the truth of the fact that no, the rumors going around she was zipped up in a body bag. No, that wasn't true. So we try to weigh what is true and what's not. And we can only do that by seeing what we can see, and then by putting together the pieces, which the CIA wants to make sure there are no fingerprints left at the crime scene but yours, because they leave your DNA there. So we need to put together all the little pieces to try and determine what actually happened. We have this other woman that you say was a consultant to this new movie, which is going to come out. I think it's Hallmark, or what, do you know?
It's Lifetime. I have the trailer here I can share.
Yes.
And we can play that real quick. Hold on, I'll play it. It's Lifetime. It's coming out in September. Hold on here. Let's see if I can pull this up. Okay, I'm going to mute us while we play it. I'm just going to play this trailer real quick. Girl in the Room 13. This is based off true. And I have a video of Anne Heche talking about Ellen DeGeneres like a month ago or less, too. We can play because if you know anything about Ellen, she's linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Ellen DeGeneres is a very dark person. That's all I can say. You're all going to have to, if you don't believe me, you're all going to have to go
The talk show hosts are MKUltra handlers.
If you look at her background of her show too, it matches Epstein's temple, the blue and white stripe, the Greek.
And there was a thing where she was cutting her mom's hair in the bathroom. Yeah. Did you see that?
I saw that.
Oh my God. What was that thing? It was like a hangman, and it looked like the bloody Ball Wilson from Tom Hanks movie.
Oh, well, Tom Hanks is part of all that too.
Yes.
And then, but Ellen, this won't mute us, by the way, because I'm sharing my screen on YouTube. So, so we'll be able to talk if you want to say anything during this trailer. But this is based off a true story, and Ellen DeGeneres creeps me out to no end. She even had with Tom Hanks with the hand. You know, what was that movie he was in where it was all by himself and he had the soccer ball or something with the hand?
The ball was called Wilson. That's actually his wife's name, Rita Wilson.
Yes. Oh. But they tied that into Pizzagate, and then Ellen DeGeneres wears that sweater or that sweatshirt with that hand. Like this, everybody, this is so deep.
Yeah, at one point we'll do another show like in a month or whatever about Tom Hanks and Isaac Cappy.
I love Isaac Cappy.
Yeah, I knew him, and I didn't know him, but I talked to him and I told him who I was, and I said that I could meet him, and he said you can meet me in Albuquerque. That's where my mom lives. He didn't say my dad lives there, but we can talk about that another time.
Okay, let's watch this trailer here. This is Anne Heche's, and they're still putting it out. It's going to be out in September on Lifetime. Why can't I play it? It's not letting me play. That's weird. Hold on. It wouldn't let me play it.
Do you find a trailer from that?
Yeah, here it is. It's let me play. Here we go.
Grace! Let's have a toast. My girl. She's been out of rehab for a month. Vagabond.
I am committed to making this work.
Without a doubt.
Guess who I ran into? Richie. He was asking about you. I don't need his trouble.
Hey.
No, Richie, I can't. I should go.
Okay, yeah.
What do you want? Richie, let me go.
Why hasn't she called?
Maybe we should face the facts. It's been 2 days since you last saw her. Grace has a history with drugs. There's nothing here that indicates that a crime has taken place.
I keep falling.
She's relapsed.
Maybe something happened to her. I just want to go home.
You said you saw your daughter last at the interstate.
Drugs flow along that interstate like water. And when there's drugs, there's trafficking. They seduce them. They drug them. After 10 days, they sell them. They sell them. 10 days. How long has your daughter been missing?
Okay. Shut up! It's my rules now, Grace.
What are you going to do to me?
It's starting to feel like a needle in a haystack.
We're going to keep looking until we find her, Bird. We're going to find her.
Y'all, I get emotional about that because I've researched so much behind it. It's all true. It's all true. And then what they want to do with these people, like you see all these girls or men too, they do it to men that drug overdose or they claim it's a drug overdose, and it isn't. It's actually murder.
Yes, they overdose you. So in Steve Zenos's father's case, I believe that he killed his wife. I have no proof of it, but I believe that he did.
I believe it.
And
sex trafficking is so bad.
Room 13 Illuminati families. That is an Illuminati number. They couldn't have said room 12. Room 5.
And I believe that this all stems to Ellen DeGeneres and Jeffrey Epstein, and she had information that when they knew that she was coming out with this movie, they stopped her. And then the GOP congresswoman in Indiana that they killed 2 days beforehand.
That's crazy, because I always want to ask, what did they know? What did the GOP lady know? What did Anne know? What did Anne find out about Ellen?
Hold on, let's play that. That's a good thing. This will mute us, but I want to play this video. It's 2 minutes and 11 seconds. I want to play this all. This is just like less than a month ago. All right, 3 weeks ago. Let's listen to Anne about Ellen. Here we go.
Getting to the Ellen moment of my understanding in pop culture.
We're talking about Ellen?
Yes, apparently she has gone off to Africa to join her guerrillas in a peaceful retreat. So now, here's the thing. Well, you know her
show is off. Do you know that much pop culture?
I did know, but what I'm feeling is that finally she's enough away that I'm starting to be able to breathe again.
Really?
It's like it's like fresh air a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I think that's another show. But I have to say, there is a moment that I feel like, well, you know what I feel like with Ellen in Africa? I feel like a little bit like a new man.
That is definitely a soundbite.
That's why I wrote it.
But okay, we're going to talk about this, I guess. So,
well, I mean, I don't know what else to talk about. The fact of the matter is, every single person wants to know what I'm thinking about Ellen in this time.
People are asking all the time, and we're always not saying anything. So we're going to say something. It looks like.
All right. Well, what are you going to say?
Well, I mean,
I'm glad she's in Africa.
I'm going to say that her show is off the air, and we're finding now people coming to us, and we're getting information about how she blocked you in ways that we had no idea.
Oh, please extrapolate.
Well, we have friends that are coming forward. What we're finding is that show was held over apparently your head as a tool that, you know, for going out. If you're on a show, if you're in a film, they got to go through the Ellen show to promote it. And guess what?
It's unpleasant.
Ellen blocked you from the show. And everybody knows that. So much so that friends of ours who have gone on the show have told us that they have been told specifically in the green room before they go on the show not to bring up your name.
Well, here's what's interesting, how powerful that my name will make a quake. Like our voices.
It can, actually.
My dogs are trying to jump me.
Well,
I'm like sitting here with the pillow going, hey.
Freedom? Is that it?
Yes, it's freedom. Freedom, and there's 4 of them in the house right now. They're trying to jump me.
So, I'll ask Marianne first before I ask you, Penny. Marianne, how do you feel about that clip that you're listening to Anne and how she felt about Ellen, or what Ellen did to Anne?
You know, it makes me wonder if it makes me think there may be some sort of connection. It's kind of eerie when you think about it, you know, just the way things happened. And like, was it Jason, I think, that said that the government does some shady stuff?
Oh, yeah, the government. Jason, I'll bring this back up. Thank you, Jason, for tuning in tonight, by the way. The government does some freaky stuff. I was intel analyst for NSA. I worked for the Office of Weapons and Space.
Well, I want to talk to Jason. Give Jason my phone number.
I will. And maybe he could be on
you
your
could be on
show.
the Dark Outpost, Jason.
Yeah.
I just got a new gig.
Yeah.
I'm executive producer of the Dark Outpost and now co-host.
Oh, I know, that's exciting. I'm gonna put this back up here. So Jason's a good friend. He's followed What the Frick Live for several years now. So thank you, Jason, for tuning in. Yeah, I will send. This is the information you can contact Penny here.
Yeah, you can email me at penny@darkoutpost.com, and then my phone number. You can text me. I won't answer unless you're in my contacts. Of course, you know why.
Yeah,
it's area code 619-779-9771.
Oh, you're on your ad here doesn't have the last one on it.
Oh, huh.
I might
Okay.
have to add that in there.
I'll
So
fix that.
9671 at the end there, and the Dark Outpost with that's David
977. That's so you cannot contact me, right? 977. What? What's the other number? It's
But
9771.
If you don't know the Dark Outpost with David Zublick, you need to know, because David Zublick has been one of the truthers in all of this, and he's also been censored like all of us too. So really good network.
He's on Rumble now. I think he
Yes.
was on YouTube just like everybody, and probably got kicked off of YouTube. Ellen has the creepiest gays I've ever seen too. She's a MK Ultra handler. All the talk show hosts are MK Ultra handlers. My brother, my evil brother John, also represents Jay Leno and Whoopi Goldberg. You don't get those positions unless you're part of the cabal. So, if you see Jay Leno come out and Kanye West comes out and he grabs him on the shoulder and pulls him close to him, and you think, oh, look how fun, they're telling jokes. He says a code word to him somewhere in a string of things. Then he sits him down and he taps him twice on the knee. Now he's under MK Ultra. So he can pretty much either
Hypnotism.
set him up. Yes. He can either set him off or reel him in.
Artichoke. That's what they called it. Well, maybe all of the MK Ultra has some little artichoke in there, Operation Artichoke. Laura Pill, which is also a regular viewer of ours on What the Frick Live, she said she was actually wrapped in sterile sheet, as that it was a firefighter's wrap burn victims, and they pour sterile water on it to cool the burns. So that's good to know, because I didn't know that.
Yes. I mean, I could look at it and tell that there were sheets wrapped on her, because I could also see her feet. But then, there's a difference between if you want to, do this conspiracy theory, because I deal in conspiracy facts. So you need to actually research it. And then you need to discern when you say, no, it wasn't a body bag. Let's get it right. What was it actually? Then you have to figure out, why did she break free from those straps? And like you said, well, she wasn't restrained, so maybe she wasn't combative. You can only determine this by talking to other people, see what their opinions are. And then you put together those facts and you do your own discernment and your own research. Make sure you do your own research. Don't take anything that anybody says for granted that is the absolute truth, because we're researching too. So we're trying to, these are stories that they were breaking stories, and now they're stories that are developing stories. So it may take us a while to actually discern what the truth is, and we do that through doing shows like this and talking with one another.
And Jason says they need to call it sex slavery, which it is. And what kills me is the U.S. military will hunt terrorists to the ends of the earth, but because of the interweaving of the rich and powerful, they won't kill sex slaves.
You know what kills me, Jason? What kills me is that those of us that are whistleblowers and are trying to tell the truth are then labeled as being crazy, and we're made homeless, and they divest us of all of our ability to earn an income, and so that when you're in a court of law, you have no financial means with which to fight them, and then the first thing they do is they invalidate you, and then you are declared under the NSA, who has the power to do this. They can throw you in jail. They can say that you're crazy. They can do anything they want, and they can murder you with impunity. That's what the NSA has the authority to do, because when Michael Aquino was accused of raping 200 children, which he actually did, they reduced the number of that as well. They came to him and they said, you cannot prosecute this man under grounds of national security because he was an intel agent. And he got away
Jeffrey
with it.
Epstein. They did the same thing with Jeffrey Epstein when he was caught in 2006. And that's why the guy in Florida, I can't remember.
Well, he
his
actually
name.
was prosecuted, but he did, an unreasonable amount of time when he was walking out of the jail doing his job. So they did prosecute him, but they swept it under the rug.
Well, they prosecuted him to the point that he was allowed to leave the jail for 12 hours a day during the daytime to go to his office. And they were like, don't touch him. He's for the government. He's for the government. And then that same guy ended up working for Trump, or Trump tried to put him in office. And now everybody's like trying to link Trump to all of that.
Well, the Judge Reinhold, who signed the warrant, he worked for Epstein. Then he quit. He was on the Epstein trial. Then he quit. Then he represented one of the pilots. And then on this latest case, which was filed in March, where Trump was suing Clinton and and the DNC, he was the judge on that. So he had recused himself in June. I think it was June 22nd. He recused himself, and then he signed the warrant.
The dates ended up being 666 whenever he recused himself. Added up to 666 or 66.
Right. He recused himself from the Clinton case, the 22nd of June.
And then a month later,
and if you add all the twos, because it's 2022, right? 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. So yes.
6. Yeah.
Yep.
It all came together, and then it's just, this goes deep.
It does.
I get overwhelmed over it, but it all leads back to CIA, FBI, almost any 3 letters of the alphabet.
DOJ, DIA, NSA, FBI. DARPA's the only one with 4 letters, and there ain't on it. DARPA.
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 How about HARPA?
Right. DARPA is like one of the, the founding covert agencies in the galaxy.
See, Laura says, my nephew, who is a firefighter, says that sometimes it's hard to restrain somebody who is already suffering with pain from the burns without clenching safety wraps on.
That's what it looked like to me. It looked
like that makes sense.
It looked to me like she was in excruciating pain, and she managed to sit up. And who knows what her capacity, what her brain capacity is, without the oxygen in it at the time. Just because she's sitting up doesn't mean that she's even cognizant of what she's doing.
Well, if you understand, like people, especially under the, she didn't have alcohol in her system, right?
They say she didn't, but I don't know. I mean, it was weird because it appeared that there was an alcohol bottle or some kind of bottle right next to her, but they said no, there was no alcohol. That what they found in her system was cocaine and fentanyl. So again, I say, it would be weird for them to administer something without doing a blood test, because they could kill her by giving her something for pain.
That counteracts.
It could have literally caused the coma.
Penny Hust is watching. Thank you, Penny, so much. There are so many that add their own stories and put whatever they want. It seemed like all of the news has something different.
Another Penny. Hi, Penny.
Penny, 2 pennies. I have another. Let's just play this because this is a New York Post, I believe. Play this. It's a 33-second clip. You won't be able to hear us, and then we're going to close out because we're going a little bit over, which we started a little bit late, too, about 5 minutes late. So I'm going to play this last clip, and then we'll close out. Hold on, really quick. It says, I know these little things come. It says that the Los Angeles investigator said that fentanyl was not added to her drug screen until after she was in the hospital. So we'll start all this over. Watch this. I can't pause it, so try to read it as fast as you can. Okay, here we go. So that's the New York Post saying that she was not under the reports to them.
No, that's not what they said. That's not what they said. They didn't say that she didn't have fentanyl in her system. No. They said they were going to do more tests.
Under the influence of alcohol.
Yeah.
Is what I was saying.
Yeah.
So, but they said that fentanyl, the cocaine was in there and another substance, but they didn't think that fentanyl was actually given to her until after she was in the hospital or something like that. But they're going to have more updates in the next.
Right. They said that they found fentanyl and cocaine in her system. And then they said that fentanyl was also administered to her in the hospital. So it's quite possible that she had the fentanyl in her system prior.
Did they give that in the hospital?
Pardon?
Did they give that in the hospital?
Well, my husband was addicted to fentanyl. He was also addicted to morphine.
But that's what the morphine is. What they give. I don't think
I would have thought that they would have given her morphine, because the fentanyl would, that would seem not a good idea to give her that, because it could cause her respiratory failure. Especially if she had cocaine in her system. I would think that they probably didn't want to give her anything till they gave her a blood test. You know what I'm saying?
I'm looking for it. I don't like. I
took snapshots of that.
Do they give fentanyl in the ER? This is an investigational study. Fentanyl nasal spray is FDA approved, commercially available for the treatment of pain. If used with it can be used with people with cancer.
I took snapshots of that whole thing. Anne Heche was allegedly under the influence of cocaine and possibly fentanyl at the time of her car crash. The Los Angeles Police Department said that her blood test results came up positive for both substances. Law enforcement insiders cautioned that fentanyl may have been administered to Heche, they're saying, at the hospital to help manage her pain after the accident. They will do more testing to determine whether the fentanyl was in her system at the time of the crash. The actress was not under the influence of alcohol. The outlet described her condition as dire, as she has not improved since being admitted to the hospital. Follow for updates. So they were kind of cautious in the way that they presented this.
Fentanyl, to me, like from where I've worked in trauma and ER and stuff, morphine was the drug of choice in all of that. So if a hospital possibly administered fentanyl, like that's major red flags to me, because like just the slightest little bit, just like a coating, like a dusting, can kill somebody.
Yeah, it can. There was a girl in one of the cities in North Carolina that just barely touched it, and she almost died.
Yeah, the DEA dogs were having, were getting killed from trying to track the fentanyl down, because they did have, the thing that makes me believe that she actually had it in her system before is because in Inglewood they had this huge raid, and she was known to take drugs. She took ecstasy. When she broke up with Ellen, she didn't stop taking drugs. So that's what makes me suspect she actually had it.
Well, MKUltra, doesn't they use drugs to hypnotize or?
Well, they use LSD and other drugs. They would use drugs like that you would use in an operating theater, like Versed or some type of a roofie, so that you would be have conscious anesthesia. You'd be in a state of conscious anesthesia, like zombie drug, which they would blow. It's found in motion sickness, scopolamine, for drugs for motion sickness. So they would take scopolamine and blow it in your face, and then it's a zombie drug. So you're still awake and you're doing whatever it is that they want. Just like when somebody gets roofied, they're still able to move their limbs and participate. They have no memory of the event.
Until later.
No, sometimes they don't remember at all.
How about flashbacks or something? Or
yes,
like dreams?
You could, but that's part of what I try to help people regain the memories that they lost, and memories that they lost under a drugged state. Your brain is like a computer, so it's always on and it's always recording. So even when you're in a coma, you're still hearing the things that are going on. And if you're astrally projecting, I died and I ejected out of my body. I watched the entire accident. And then when I realized that I wasn't going to leave my body permanently, I went back in it. But I saw everything that happened in that accident, and then I died. And I was revived. I was coming home from the White House. Not the White House, another White House.
Well, hold on. What's the other White House now? I want to know.
The White House that I was coming home from was a White House in Laguna Beach, which is a jazz venue, which I believe the White Houses were created for the White House. Because Nixon.
All the replicants? Are you talking?
No, they're actually
Republicans replicas.
No, they're jazz venues. But the reason why they would name it the White House is for confusion, for espionage purposes. Okay. So they say, "Well, I was at the White House tonight," which is a jazz venue. I went to the White House for years. I went to the White House with Durrell, and I sang jazz with a bunch of jazz greats that were there. And then later on, I played at the White House in my own bands. So it's a venue, but in Laguna Beach. But you have to remember, President Nixon, his Western White House, or whatever you want to call it, Eastern White House, Western White House, he had one in Miami, and then he had one in San Clemente. So it would be a way where somebody would say, yes, I was at the White House, kind of a code thing, or I'll meet you at the White House.
Well, the Clintons have replicas now, and so does Tyler Perry.
Yes, this wasn't a replica. This was a jazz venue called the White House. They had many venues that were for confusion, for the purposes of chaotic confusion, and also places where you could indeed give messages out, like monuments, national monuments. Great place for espionage to take place.
Okay, I have 2 questions, and we're going to close this out, I promise now. And I want to ask Marianne and I want to ask Penny both. First question, real simple here. Penny, Marianne, whoever wants to answer first. Both of you are going to answer. Do you think Anne Heche was murdered?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm still working on it, but I told Dave today, you know what? I think she was murdered.
Okay. Second question is, do you think that she has stuff on Ellen DeGeneres, since she's linked to Jeffrey Epstein in all this sex trafficking stuff in her show? Do you think that has anything to do with what happened to her here at the end?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay, third question. Do you all think that we will actually find the answers to this eventually, or is this just going to be one of them conspiracy things that the people that study will know what we know, but no one's ever going to come out and say it?
I think that we can go down the trail and we can find as many little pieces that we can put together to make a conclusion, to make an educated conclusion. Otherwise, if you're not doing the research and you're not following, it's copious research which builds upon itself. So after 5 years of doing this research about the cabal, about Jeffrey Epstein, about all of the players, interviewing people, and making your notes, and then putting it all together, you will be able to make an assessment. As far as proving it, that's probably not going to happen, because, like I said, the CIA in conspiracy theory, Jerry is asked, can you prove that? And he says, well, no. A good conspiracy theory, if you can prove it, then they've done something wrong.
That's true.
Wow.
So, Marianne, do you think that we'll eventually get answers from this, or is it all going to be such like we connect the dots?
I feel like it's going to be the connect the dots. I feel like it's going to be really hard to prove it to everybody. I think, it's probably purposely things are being hidden or misconstrued.
And they ran into Ellen too really quickly too, and asked, and she's like totally like shunned them off. Like, I don't talk to her. I
know. Wow. That was just like so cold. Oh my God.
Yes. I agree. That's cruel. I mean,
well, I think she just got her ankle brace taken off and she went to Africa.
Cold-blooded, like, oh yes, I haven't talked to her in a really long time. Oh my God, she was your lover for how many years, and now you're just gonna say that? What did she ever do to you that was evil and mean? You did all the evil, mean stuff.
Yeah, is Ellen also MKUltra? I don't know, but there's a lot of connections with her and her show, and a lot of these celebrities. Hollywood is what we have here. Hollywood dark journalist, Agent XL or X11, Penny L.A. Shepard, and
I just looked at that when you said it because it's funny. I'm the X11, but yeah. I'm still the 11, so
you are
not actually the X11. Agent
11, and we appreciate you coming on our shows, especially part 2. Obviously, we're going to have part 3 because we didn't really get to talk about you tonight because we need to go to more details about.
I just think every once in a while, like once a month or something, we should get together and discuss Hollywood. We should just do that.
That would be fun.
I agree.
Yeah, we'll get together. We'll put something together on this, and
I love you, ladies. Now.
Well, I love
love
you.
you
Love
both.
you too.
So thank you for everybody for tuning in tonight. We appreciate you. Please share this out to your pages. Every little share helps. It helps our show. It helps our guests. It helps our network. And you know, that's the least that you can do to try to put the truth out. We're censored on so many things. I just got off a 7-day ban myself.
Ouch.
For posting about gas prices. So
It was just a joke. It was
That's
a joke too.
What were you going to assassinate somebody in that thing?
No. So Penny says to Penny, thank you, great show. So we'll be here Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Josh Andela. He is a documentary or producer. He's writing Through Hell and Back. It deals with suicide awareness. So please tune in Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on RU Media Network. We thank you so much. Please follow us on Odyssey, What the Frick Live, and Rumble, What the Frick Live, because I'm hoping and praying that by the first of the year, that's where we're going to be. And you're not going to see us on Facebook anymore because it's not fun anymore on here. So
No, it is not.
So we appreciate you. Thank you, Penny, for being an awesome guest. Thank you, Marianne, for being an awesome co-host. We love you all. We'll see you again Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on RU Media Network. Have a